Thank you for tuning into Cytology 101. I'm your host, Sydney Robinson. We'll get into the challenges of the dental industry, empower leaders to inspire their teams, and foster collaboration between office team members and practice owners. Together, we'll find creative solutions to get shit done. I'm so excited for this episode because I have one of my, hopefully we're getting to be close friends because I'm starting to see you around more face to face. But I am super excited for this episode because this is where I get to talk to real life office managers and we're talking about real life problems, real life solutions inside of the dental practice. And I am joined by my good friend, Christina. So Christina, I want to say thank you so much for joining me for this episode and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you, Sydney. I would consider us getting close friends. I'm excited every time I see you at any of our meetings. So, yes, you were right about that. I've been an office manager since 2020 now. I started in dentistry, though, in 2014. I started off as an assistant, kind of made my way up, learned stuff in the front, then went into billing. I was an assistant manager, and then I came back to an office here in Selah, Washington, and our office manager wanted to go into aesthetics, and I kind of got pushed into it, which was great. But I have a 16-year-old son, so on top of dentistry, I get to deal with being a football mom. I have a significant other. He's gone half the year fighting wildland fires, so my life is just it's fun and it's a lot. We're an outdoor family.
I know. I mean, especially just with life in general. You mentioned that you're a football mom, and I am 1 year into being a football mom, and it's a whole thing. It
Oh,
is
girl,
super
it's a lot.
intense.
What grade is your kid in?
Yeah, he is in the 5th grade. He's 11, going on 32, is what I like
There
to
you go.
say.
Well, I will tell you, you got it easy right now. Wait till they get into the high school. High school football is real demanding. It's a lot. It's a whole nother ball game. I thought I was prepared because my kid had been in football since he was 7, 8 years old, and high school hit, and I didn't know what hit us.
Oh my God, I can't believe you have a high school. Girl, what is your skin regimen?
Uh,
You look so young.
I get a monthly facial.
I love that. Noted. You said something like really cool that you started off as a dental assistant, right?
Yes.
You started off as a dental assistant and just really worked your way up through the practice. I'm finding that a lot of stories are just like that. And when you were a dental assistant and you started to work your way through the practice, what drove you to move from clinical to admin?
Well, part of it was the office that I was at the time. It was a small office. It seemed like we were always short staffed. And I went into dental because I was scared of the dentist when I was younger. So I always wanted to just make my patients happy, make sure they felt comfortable. So one of the things that really kind of drove me nuts was every time I'd go to walk my patient out, we'd have to wait because there'd be a line. So my first thing was, well, gosh, what can I do that my patient doesn't have to wait anymore? I can check my patient out. I can make sure they're scheduled for their next appointment. Like, what can I do? So that was the first start to me learning the front. And then after that, it was like, it was easier to find an assistant because they were all out of school here versus trying to find someone who knew dental and work up front. And then after that, it was just, then it was kind of like the same thing. We lost our billing person. Well, then I realized, man, I kind of like just sitting in a comfy chair all the time and just working by myself. So then I was like, sure, I'll learn how to do billing and then it just kind of went from there. I still am an assistant at the office that I'm at now. Every front office girl, including me, is an assistant. So there are days where I still get to enjoy that. It's very far and few between now, but there are times where I still get to assist. But yeah,
Nice.
just it kind of moved up like that.
Did you find like being able to work in those different positions help you in each position? So for example, being an assistant, still being an assistant, moving on to billing. Did you find that that gave you a leg up in what you need to actually build insurance?
It absolutely did, because
Yeah.
instead of having to ask what quote unquote the narrative is, just why are we billing a crown? I didn't have
Mhm.
to really go and ask the assistants. I could look at the x-ray, or I could look at their notes, and if their notes weren't as good as it should be billing to an insurance, I could put in there, say it's because the crown is, it has a big existing filling. Well, instead of
Mm.
just putting, oh, a silver amalgam filling has failed, I could switch it to whatever needed to be for it, but I would use what they already had and build up on it. So it definitely did help. I feel like it's easier to learn all the positions when you already know the core
Yeah.
than just trying to jump in there and be like, "Oh, we're just gonna go from here."
Some people look at me like I'm crazy because now flip side for me, I did not do clinical. Actually, I had no dental experience. However, now that I'm a coach and now when I started to become more of a leadership role, that was one of the things that I found that helped me. Although I had no dental experience, I watched what they did clinically. So if we were slower or I had any type of downtime, I was actually shadowing my dental assistants, my hygienist, and my doctor. I wanted to
That's
hear how they were
awesome.
talking because it was so frustrating for me to be able to communicate with the patient and not know what they're actually saying or what the lingo was. So I find that you working your way through the practice and coming from being a dental assistant is really interesting when people who have not been a dental assistant not really understand the workflow. And so I guess my next question to you is how do you take what your experience has been and now that you are in a leadership role, how do you help support your team members?
I feel like it's a lot easier since I've been in all the positions, because I'm not just going in there as a manager to quote unquote boss you around.
Mhm.
I like it that you use the word leader. I'm a leader. I'm there to help you guys. And I
Yeah.
know that I loved this saying when I was younger, but everyone's like, oh, an assistant just suctions up spit. No, they don't. Other than the
Mm-mm.
dentist, they are like literally the heart of the office. So I
Yeah.
know when I go back there and need to help them with who's going to take what patient next, where do people need help with, what rooms need to be flipped. I've been in their shoes. I know what their
Yeah.
days are like. Um, I can tell when they're not going to be available. Maybe one of my front office girls needs to go see the next patient because they're stuck in a crown and they still haven't even been able to pack cord yet. So I know they have another 30-40 minutes before
Yeah.
that crown even goes into the mill. Same thing with the front. Thank the Lord, a lot of our front office girls, we've gotten lucky. The ones that we've hired have had dental experience before, whether it just be the front or whether it be an assistant. A lot of the girls have had experience. So they're very knowledgeable about dental as well. But even when I have to help them up there, I know what it's like because I've been that front office girl to get my butt
Mhm.
chewed because we didn't verify the insurance correctly, or oh my gosh, now you owe for a crown because there was a waiting period and we didn't catch it. It's
Yeah.
easier for me to jump in knowing when they need the help because I've probably been in that position before, and
Yeah.
I can handle it a little bit better because I've been in all those positions.
Yeah, now that I'm a recent football mom, you're a veteran football mom. Something that really stood out to me that you just mentioned is essentially quarterbacking your clinical team, but being able to communicate with everybody, understanding where you need to be, how long it's going to take this procedure. Maybe you're going to run a little bit over, and if someone can just take an x-ray, get us prepped and ready, then we can pop back in over to that next patient. So this is really cool that you just mentioned that because I find that in my coaching calls that when I'm talking to my admin team versus my clinical team, sometimes it's that separation and it's
There
front
is.
versus back, right? And it drives
Yes.
me insane because no, if we all just communicate and we work as a team, just like they would on a football field, right? Okay, you're
Yeah.
open, you may not be open because you're covered. Then we're going to go to the next person, right? Or we're just going to run the ball. Well, it's the same thing in a dental practice.
It is.
And so it's funny that you mentioned that because a lot of practices really don't think that way. It's almost, every man for themselves, or I'm the admin team. I don't need to know when you're going to do that buildup. When actuality, you do if you're going to schedule or you're checking your patient in and, you know, the doctor's running late because maybe the temporary kept falling off or we couldn't get an impression or something like that. So what is one thing that you do for, I know you mentioned that a lot of your gals, your admin team members do have clinical experience. What do you do to ensure that they're up to speed and they can kind of think how you think when it comes to the workflow and the practice?
You know, if you would have asked me this question probably a year ago, I wouldn't have had the answer. But now, I'm just I'm very open-minded. I communicate everything that's in my mind. Where I
Mhm.
used to just keep it all in my mind, but then I was like, well, how are these girls going to know what I would think? How are these girls going to even be able to
Yeah.
make a good choice and feel confident about it if I haven't given them the tools or the skill set? So now my biggest thing is, and at first, I swear the front office girls hated this. They would come to me for an answer, and I would never give them
Mhm.
that answer right away. And it was
Yeah.
I just changed this, and so they were like, "What are you doing? Just give me the answer." And I'm like, "Well, no, all you girls are smart. We
Yeah.
probably have the best front office girls. I know every office will say it, but I love our girls, and they're all
Yes.
very smart." And so I will ask them now, "What do you think?" And if they
Ooh.
answer it in a way that I wouldn't answer, I would tell them, "Okay, well, this is what I would do, and this is why." So I
Love
give
that.
them the knowledge to be able to think on their own, but I also give them the knowledge of what I
Mhm.
would do and why I would do it. Because I've noticed a lot that if someone knows why,
Mhm.
then they're going to answer it better and they're going to feel more confident doing it. So I just
Yeah.
make sure that they know what I would think. And we have a
Yeah.
little group chat that we chat all the time. So,
I love that for you. I love that you're like, okay, I have the best admin team ever. So that's one. But you just know that it's getting them. My favorite line, and I know you probably heard me say this, is WWMD, what will Mark do? Because if
yep.
I could start to think like him, then those decision-making processes or that workflow would make sense. But if I don't know the thought process or the why behind we're doing something, then it makes it difficult. So when I discovered that about myself, I was like, well, I can't just hoard all the information for my team members. And what I absolutely despise is when someone goes in and they're like, this is the perfect example. You got to fill the schedule, or you can't put that patient right there. You need to move this patient. And I'm looking at you like, okay, well, I'm just going to put the patient probably back on the next day of whenever I think I should put the patient, right? Then
Yeah.
you come back to me again and you're like, Sydney, you didn't schedule that patient correctly. Okay, wait a minute. Where should I put this patient, dude? Because you and I aren't vibing right now, right?
Yep. And that
Right.
happens.
It does. And now all of a sudden, that person's frustrated with you, whether it's your doctor, whether it's your OM or your lead assistant, and then you're frustrated with them because you're thinking that you're doing what they asked you to do, when actuality is you both have different perspectives. And so I
Hmm.
love that you said, where in this scenario, what I would do is, hey, Sydney, I noticed that you scheduled this patient for a seat crown at 12:30. We typically like to see our seat crowns at 9 or 11. Can you tell me more about why you put this patient there? Or maybe the patient is scheduled, you got class 2 fillings scheduled right next to an implant, knowing that the doctor can't jump over and do those class 2 fillings because he's going to be over here in his implant. So now we need to give that person the why we need to schedule that filling appointment so the doctor can go in and see that implant. And once I started to understand that process, it made the schedule so much better. So I like that you do that for your team members.
It does. I actually learned that from my doctor.
Yeah.
Dr. McKay, because when I took on as the office manager, he would just tell me to do things. And I'm very much I'll do it, but I need to know why. Like I have to know. So I would just ask. And finally he's like, Christina, you need to do that with the girls up front. You need to tell them why, or they're just going to keep making that mistake. So I will have to give him credit that he is the reason why I do that now.
Yeah, and I love it. It's just, it goes back to, I talk about this all the time. If I was to go to the beach and have a vacation, go and sip mojitos, will the office still flow efficiently where I'm not coming back and have to put out a bunch of fires? And the only way you're going to be able to do that is by communicating.
Yes.
Um, this is a really good question because now, remind me, you have two dental practices that you're managing, or is it you have a big team?
We have one very busy office. We have a 24 employee, three dentist
Mhm.
office that is very, very busy. It
Yeah.
feels like two on some days.
Okay, I couldn't remember if you had two locations or just a really large practice, but you lead all of these team members. And as we're talking about communication and getting things out of your head, um, one of the biggest vulnerabilities that I personally faced when I became an office manager, and then even further, because I didn't learn this until later on, I felt like I did have to know everything. And I felt like I had to have all of the answers. And if I didn't have all of the answers, I would pretend like I did. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it for our listeners. I would pretend that I did. Then I'll go back later and maybe try to figure it out. Or now I have a whole stack of things that I need to figure it out because I was too insecure to go in and say, I didn't know something. Um, I would love to know, and this is a deep question, so I hope you're ready for this one. What did
Let's do
you
it.
find as a leader once you got into that leadership position? What was one insecurity that you had that you felt like you didn't want anybody to know?
Oh man, that's a few good ones. Well, one insecurity probably was that I didn't make any mistakes. I had to be perfect. I'm
Mhm.
very much a perfectionist. And it's
Mhm.
funny that you said that you had to know everything because I was exactly like that. I felt like I mean, as the office manager, everyone comes to you for everything. And as
Mhm.
the leader, everyone expects you to not make a mistake because especially when someone does make a mistake, who's the one that goes and talks to them? Me. So
Right.
I don't like to use the word get them in trouble, but how am I supposed to sit you down and coach you up better if here I am making my own mistakes? So
Mhm.
that was probably my biggest one. And at the beginning, only Dr. McKay would know when I made the mistakes because I would go to him. I didn't want to admit it to anybody else. So each department has a lead. So I'm the office manager, but I have leads. So I have a hygiene lead, a front lead, and assistant lead. Those were the girls that I would really lean on when I did make mistakes. And honestly, probably because of those three girls, especially my hygiene lead, they're the ones that really let me know, Christina, like you're human. Everyone's human. As long as you're learning from your mistakes and you're not doing them over and over. That was my biggest one. Because I know there were a few times when I first became office manager, I made a mistake. And I'm not saying that I would try to hide it or I would try to wash it over, but I definitely tried to not make it known. If I made a mistake,
Yeah.
I tried to fix it first. I didn't want anyone else to
Mhm.
find that mistake. I didn't want anyone to know that I made a mistake. That was
Yeah.
probably my biggest insecurity. And then just learning how to work with, even though I'm still the one that's going to sit you down and coach you up to do better on what you made a mistake on, I actually used that as my benefit. I would tell the girls, hey, look, you made a mistake. We all do. Like, I even make mistakes, but we have to learn
Mhm.
from them. We have to make sure we don't make that mistake again. And I feel like learning to accept that I wasn't perfect and learning to accept that I do make mistakes actually brought me closer to all the employees because they all felt like I wasn't just a manager. I wasn't just there to boss them around. I knew what they were going through, like, and to let them know that even I make my own mistakes. Even Dr. McKay makes mistakes. Like, we're all humans. It let them feel like they are a human and they're not just someone on the payroll. So it kind
Yeah.
of built a connection and it helped me along the way because it let me know that it's okay to not be perfect.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you're open to sharing that. That just shows like true growth. And I find that, now I talk to a lot of office managers and that ego is really there.
It
And
is.
I'm like, okay, guys, listen, especially, okay, you have some people that maybe they did go to business school and they're running these dental practices. Great, great for you. However, there are a lot of us who didn't get that leadership training, right? We didn't go through, even if you did go to business school and you learned how to run a dental practices, that doesn't still mean that you know how to talk to people, how to communicate with people. And I feel as if, a lot of us have that story where we worked our way up through the practice. We have had almost all positions in the practice. And then now we're at this leadership role, and we just feel like we have to be the ideal leader, or we have to make sure that we have all the answers and we're doing all the things. And I for sure had that. And it wasn't, my thing was, I have a fear of failure. I also, a lot of people know, and I know some of our listeners probably have heard this before, but I also I'm dyslexic and I'm ADHD. And of course, I have like a dominant like personality, right? So all those things mixed together really was a toxic environment that I was creating, because I never wanted anyone to see me as a failure. And I never wanted anyone to see me as stupid or dumb. And it reflected in my leadership skill, and it reflected in the way that I communicated with my team members, to a point where we were losing team members because of the way that I was communicating, or because I would ask them to go do something. And then, Christina, I am a recovery micromanager,
Yes,
and
you are.
I am still in recovery. I think I'm 3 years sober, but
Congratulations.
but I would micromanage my team, because it's like, okay, did it get done? And it's really, I want everybody who listens to this, it is okay for us to have vulnerabilities, and it is okay for us to have insecurities. What's not
Yes.
okay is to project that and not do anything about it, or be open and honest. If my fear of failure is what I'm truly insecure on, then I want my team to be able to support me. And I had an office manager who was like, well, one of my team members said, well, you're the office manager, you should know. That's going to go back to, wait, hang on. First off, those are fighting words.
Those are. I've had that said to me.
Those are fighting words. But my favorite line that I had to teach myself, if I was to hear that, it would be, is that a them problem or is it a me problem? And I would have to say it's a me problem, because I don't want people that are on my team that doesn't fit our vibe whatsoever. And every single person on our team now would never say that to me. They would be like, okay, well, what are your ideas on this? They'll try to want to collaborate and try to solve whatever problem that we have in the office. So I just want everybody to know that, like, guys, let's be real with ourselves. We're not perfect, and it is okay to not have all the answers. It is okay to not know, right?
You're learning every day. It's just like, I mean, this analogy may be horrible, but honestly, it's just like being a parent. Like every day I
Mhm.
learn something new. Every day I probably make a mistake, but you got to learn from it and move on. And it's the same thing with being in the dental field, with being any leader, is that even if you did go to business school, like there's still so much that you're going to learn. And it's
Mhm.
funny because I used to joke and say the reason I accepted this position was because I didn't want to be told what to do. I didn't like, and I'm not going to lie, I'll be
Yes.
honest, here's my vulnerability. I don't like to be told what to do. Never was I wasn't the employee that was like, let's fight, you told me what to do. But I
Yeah.
definitely was there some sass there? Yes, there probably was.
Mhm.
Bless all my old managers' hearts, they were the best. But,
Yes.
I didn't like to be told what to do, and it was like that in school too. I was
Mhm.
a good student. I started on basketball. I thrived to be the best so that there were less people to tell me what to do. So when I took
Yeah.
office manager position, I was like, "Well, I only got Dr. McKay to tell me what to do. That's easy."
Mhm.
That's not the truth. When I have leads, I got the whole, it's just like Dr. McKay will tell you, he's the boss, but he listens to everybody. And that's kind of how it
Yeah.
is, where you have a team and you all got to work together. And
Mhm.
it's just, you got to learn how to communicate and take constructive criticism from others so that you can learn to do better.
Absolutely. I love that you said that you got to that position because you don't like to be told what to do. Girlfriend, yes. Same.
And I get
Even
told what
my
to do all the time.
Yes, and you do. What's funny is though, at home, my husband would tell me to do something. I go, you can't tell me what to do. I even do that like to this day. I actually just said it this morning. He was telling me to put gloves on because it's going to be cold outside. I was like, no, I don't want gloves. And of course, I'm like, shoot, I should have got those darn gloves.
I tell him I have that all the time. I tell him, mind your business. His comment back, and I swear everybody laughs at. He goes, "You are my business, so I'm going to tell you what to do." And I'm like,
Oh
"Well,
my God.
it's
Right. You're like, okay, fine.
fine."
That's so funny that you actually said that, because one of the toughest part, in addition to accepting your vulnerabilities and being open about them, is the personality. You have 22 team members, and just like us, who we don't like to be told what to do, we have our own insecurities. Well, guys, so does your team members.
Yes, they do.
So how do you lead or manage those different personalities?
It's hard. It definitely took some time. I will say where I am now is definitely not where I was at the beginning. I had a lot of learning to do. I first had to realize that we're a team, and if I don't communicate properly, no one's going to communicate with me properly. I had to learn that everybody's different. Everybody's learning skill is different. Everybody's talking is different. I have a lead hygienist who's also one of my closest friends, and I could be straight black and white with her. And I'm a very outside of work, I'm a very blunt person. I don't sugarcoat stuff. I'm not mean, but I tell you it like it is.
Let's get to
I could
it.
I could talk to her like that, but I have other team members where I have to approach it with more heart and more sympathy and be more empathetic. As long as I can get the same result from everybody, meaning we're going to solve whatever issue is going on, then I just have to learn. I'm not going to lie. At the beginning, I had a little notebook, and I had each team. Nobody knows this. Nobody. Now they're going to know it.
Love this. Oh, we're
I
getting
had
all the
this
tea, y'all.
notebook. Each team member had their own page, and
Okay.
I wrote down things about them, things that I would say that upset them, things that I would say that made them feel better. Also, what their love language is, because people don't realize that love language actually plays a big part in your work. Like, do you want me to buy you a coffee because you did good? Do you want me just to tell you congratulations? Like, what do you
Right.
want? Do you want a pat on the back? So I had a little notebook, because let me tell you, trying to learn 23 employees is real hard, especially when you don't have the memory. I
Yeah.
had a little notebook that just had little things about everybody, and eventually I learned them well enough that I look at it as now like it's like talking to a friend. I know how to talk to different friends, and I just did that
Yeah.
with the employees. And I know some employees, they want to know right away if they did something wrong. Talk to them right away. Some employees, they want to wait till Friday night so that they can go home the whole weekend and talk about it or think
Yeah.
about it. I just really had to dig really deep and figure out my employees and figure out how they all operate and how to talk to them. And it's hard because 20
Yeah.
of those are all girls. They're all women. The only three
Yeah.
males are the dentist, and one of those is my boss. And I still had to
Yeah.
learn how to talk to him too. So it was
Right.
hard. It definitely
Yeah.
took, I didn't want to go back. I didn't want to be, I guess, quote unquote, demoted or go find a new office. So I was like, well, this is it. You just gotta figure it out. So,
Right.
and thank the Lord, we do have an amazing team. We really do. Everybody communicates really well. Um, we have fun days where everybody's like, it's like we're all friends. I joke and I say this, if any of those girls called me outside of business hours and needed something, and I wasn't like in the middle of my son's football game, I would probably drop things and I would help any of those girls. But
Yeah.
it definitely took some sweat and tears to get there.
Yeah, definitely. It's 22 girls, whether you have even four, whether they're female or male, just anybody, it is difficult to understand people. And there's this book called The Ideal Team Player. And Patrick, he talks about, these three virtues: humble, hungry, smart. And my personality, I think that's why we're such good friends, because we both have the same personality. There's no
We do.
bullshit. We just
Yeah.
call it how it is, and we like to laugh, we like to have fun, like to be serious, like no nonsense, right? Well, in my leadership skills, a lot of those virtues got me to where I was and helped me throughout, dentistry. However, when it starts to become to leading a team and help understanding different personalities, I sucked at it and I scored so low on that assessment. I was humble. I can give credit where credit was due. I can admit my mistakes at that time. I also was hungry where I would jump back there and see the patient. I took the initiative to learn how to take an x-ray. Like those things I actually was doing. But when it came to emotional intelligence, I could not read a room to save my life. Like could
No,
not.
gosh.
If we're in a meeting and maybe something didn't get done right, and I'm like, why didn't you do that? And they're now shut down. I didn't read it. I'm like, okay, answer the question. Or everyone knows here in our organization, I absolutely get so uncomfortable when someone cries. So uncomfortable. I literally
It's a hard
tense up.
situation.
Yes. And so I had to learn people. I had to develop that emotional awareness that my joke may not be funny to someone, or me going in and you just gave a really great one. I could be so direct with Esty, but with Jalen, I cannot be that direct with. I have to pivot how I'm speaking to my team members. And I love that you have a little notebook. That you wrote down everybody, what made them upset, what praises did they like, understand their love language. I want to take it a step further. That year, when I was trying to improve my leadership skill and get to know my team members, it actually stemmed from someone yelling at me. One of the gals called me all kinds of names. She went in when I let her go. She was angry. And
Dang.
yes, to a point where, everyone knows I can let someone go in 30 seconds. You're fired. All I need to let you know is, hey, here's your check. We can, I wish you the best of luck in the future. Unfortunately, this just didn't work out for us. And I'm done with that because in our organization, no one is let go with surprises.
I need to learn that from you.
Yeah, there's no surprises. And if someone is being let go and they have no idea why they're being let go, then yes, that is a leadership problem. That's a whole
Hmm.
nother topic we can talk
I
about.
agree.
But it was 5 minutes of her going in on me.
Oh
And
my gosh.
yes, she was like, yes, you never practice what you preach. You want everybody to be this. And it was eye-opening for me. And I was just like, okay, you really need to figure out people. You really need to learn how to communicate with people. And so I took that journey, and I love that you did the love language. The other one that I did was the 16 personalities, but how it helped me as a leader was to understand, if I could understand their mindset, if I could understand what they like, if I can understand how I could speak to them in a way that they understand, then that will make our relationship so much better. And I can say that I've had my team now for our longest employee is 3.5 years. So,
Nice.
and our youngest one, and not because someone let go, it's because we're growing, is a year and a half. And so it's really great to be able to say we haven't had anyone leave us.
Oh,
Um,
that's awesome.
it's not easy, by no means necessary, but if you can understand their personality and how they like to be communicated with, it'd get you one step closer to being the ideal leader, also relieving some of the stress that you have on your plate.
That is true. One thing I will say, I've always been pretty lucky when it came to the leadership role because I have always been like entwined with other people's emotions. So where
Mhm.
you say that that's something you had to learn, and sometimes I'm not gonna lie, it's a little draining, but it's very it's
Yes.
very rewarding because I can tell right away if what I just said hurt their feelings.
Mhm.
And it's been like that even like with my sisters and stuff. Granted, sometimes I ignored that I could tell, but but
Right.
I've always been able to tell. Like I could walk into a room and read it like no other.
Mhm.
So that is
Mhm.
one thing I was thankful for that I'm not gonna say I didn't have to learn because there were still some things where I was wrong about, but that is one thing I was pretty good at
Mhm.
when I took on the office manager role because yeah, there's a lot of different personalities in offices.
Yeah. That's a really good point of walking into a room and you can just tell, you know, I see a lot of leaders, and not even leaders, just people in general. They may see that someone's upset, or I don't know about your office, but I could feel that dark cloud. I can
Mm-hmm.
feel the emotion, right? And instead of ignoring it I would love to know when you see you have 22 team members, and I'm sure 3 doctors, it can get chaotic. What do you do when you walk into the room and you can feel that dark cloud over your practice?
At that point, honestly, we're all just pretty honest with each other. It's just a
Mhm.
simple question. Hey, what is going on? Like, what's wrong? Why are you upset? Why are you sad? Like, at that
Mhm.
point, it's a very crystal clear question of just because if I beat around the bush and at that point I still care about them, but at that point I need to dig deep. I need to figure out what's going on because we're
Yeah.
way too busy of a practice. Our patients, so even as busy as a practice we are, we're in a small town. And
Mhm.
so if everybody's heard about the small towns, patients see and feel everything. So if my
Yes.
front office girls aren't happy, I already heard about it from the patient. They're complaining to the assistant. If the assistant isn't
Mhm.
nice, they're complaining to the front on the way out. Um, so at that point, it's a very crystal clear question. What's wrong? What's going on?
Mhm.
And at that point, say it's only one girl, then we just have a one-on-one. Say
Mhm.
it's 5 girls, then we all sit down and we try to figure it out together. And that is where us being so open with each other and honestly being such a good team, we do work very well with each other that everybody is pretty vulnerable with each other that they'll be honest. We just had a management retreat and my lead didn't realize it, but when I was trying to give her advice, she kind of kept cutting me off and I
Yeah.
got a little upset, got up and walked away from her and
Yeah.
she's not the best at reading rooms. She's like you, Sydney. She'll walk in, she'll be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, everyone's mad. Hey, what's up?" Like, won't even notice.
Yeah.
So it finally took me having to tell her, like, Katie, every time I try to tell you something, you kept cutting me off. And she was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm so sorry." Like, we can
Mhm.
be that with each other. We can be honest and open with each other. And that's honestly
Mhm.
just how we've gotten through it. When doctor took over the practice, he bought it from a different dentist. It wasn't a big practice. It was very small. So as
Mhm.
we've grown, we've tried to, which it's getting harder, but we've tried to keep a lot of those small office things together. And communication was definitely one. Culture is a big one. We hire and fire based off our core values and the culture. And if you don't fit into the culture, I mean, I'm sorry, but you're probably not going to make it because I'm
Right.
with these girls more than I am at home, that it's got to be fun and happy.
Yes.
So we're just
Yes.
very honest with each other.
Yeah. I'm all about I think it was like one time it was a ex-employee that only lasts like 2 weeks. I was just like, we are goofballs in our organization. We play
Mm-hmm.
games, those type of things. And the one gal, she was just like, oh no, I don't like playing games. And so I was like, okay, fine. Not everybody like playing games. But we all was just like, let's all go to lunch because we had a lunch break. We weren't busy, and we all was just like, let's all go to lunch. And she goes, no, I don't want to do anything. It was 2 weeks in, right? And I go, no, no, there's not an amount of skill that's going to keep me, because then what happens with that is when you guys do a retreat, or you're in the break room and you're doing a group activity or you're doing some type of team building, that'll be the person that's sitting in the corner. And now they're
Yeah.
going to feel isolated. And now your other team members are going to be like, ugh, what's wrong with Sydney? And
Yep.
so again, that goes back to leadership, right? Is that a them problem or is that a you problem? It's a you problem because you didn't hire someone that fit your office culture or your office vibe. And it's not
Exactly.
always about experience, guys. It's really not. um and that stress level, then that anxiety happens, and that person's just like, they're only going to stay a year or they're only going to stay 6 months because now they do feel isolated from the group. Or you may tend to start to hire more people that fits that side, and now you have this whole situation going on. And I find that that's really crazy, and I see that a lot in offices. I want to bring up something that you just said. You guys went on your leadership retreat, and stress is something that a lot of leaders in the practice have. Whether you're the practice owner, you're the lead assistant, you're the office manager, regional manager, stress in the workplace is a thing, and we don't really know how to deal with it. And I like that you said that you have a conversation with your team members. You also mentioned that you would do, if it's one girl, 2 girls, and it's a one-on-one. What happens when it's a whole team? Do you stop what you're doing and say, okay, guys, before we can move on, we have to get rid of this cloud? Like, what is it that you do to de-stress that situation?
So unfortunately, when those kind of things usually happen, it's usually an after work conversation.
Mm,
Which I know those they're not fun. You know, it's the end
yeah.
of the day. We all want to go home, but I really try to approach it in a positive outlook of,
Mhm.
hey, I noticed maybe two of the assistants weren't getting along today. You girls just weren't helping each other as much as you normally do. What
Mhm.
is going on? What happened in the
Yeah.
back? But then just it's always like a reminder, we
Mhm.
like coming here. We like each other. Um,
Mhm.
if we're not getting along, the whole team is gonna see it and the patients are gonna see it. Thank the Lord,
Yeah.
everybody that we have there truly does love our patients. So
Yeah.
when I have to bring up that, hey, like our patients are gonna recognize that none of us are getting along and they're gonna say
Mhm.
something. I don't want to say it's a trigger, but it's kind of like a realization, like, okay, all right, you're right. I just try to keep it very positive when I'm talking to them and just remind them that because maybe the whole office did just have a hard day. Heck,
Mhm.
this last 2 weeks, I had 4 out of 5 front office girls call out, and it was a hard week. And during those
Yes.
weeks, you just have to remind each other that when you're having a hard day, we're all there for you. So we just got to jump
Right.
in together and be there for each other. So it's really
Yeah.
honestly just a reminder and trying to keep it on a positive note. Does it
Yeah.
always go as perfect as I'd like it to? No. But for the
Yeah.
majority of it, it usually works out. And then as the end of the night, it does give them time to go home and think about it and then start the next day fresh. So as much as
Yeah.
an after work conversation, most people hate it. I have
Mhm.
actually figured out that if you keep it short, don't drag it on either. Keep it short,
Mhm.
right to the point, stay on topic, keep it positive. They usually come back the next day and they've worked it out by then.
Yeah, it's that acknowledgement, going back to
Yeah.
that, and I like what you said at the end of the day. I would like to do that too, or depending on the time that it happens, like you said, it's not always perfect. Some people have to get out of there to go pick up kids, right?
Yeah.
And keeping it short, but always acknowledge it, being present. And I think that's one of those things as a leader that we sometimes get caught up in our day to day that we're not present to notice that Kimberly and Rebecca are at each other's throats because maybe someone did something to each other. I really also, especially when something like that happens where my entire admin team called out, I have to cover for the admin team, my DAs, so people are coming up and they're doing things. That's when we as leaders want to give that recognition. No matter what their love language is, I want to point out to my clinical team, I want to give them that praise. I know you guys bust your butt today. I'm going to buy you lunch. Or you bust your butt yesterday. It was a really rough day. If anyone could join us, let's all go for margaritas if anybody wants to go after work. Those type of things I find that really help boost morale. And you may not be able to do that in the moment, but that acknowledgement is going to be super huge. But also do something that shows that appreciation versus just saying, hey, great job, or thank you for doing that. Because some people love language as quality time, some people love language as gifts. Some of it is acts of service, which if you do say, I appreciate you doing this, then you going out and doing something special for them is still a form of act of service. So I want everybody who's listening to this, when you're in those stressful situations and you have that dark cloud or chaos is erupting in the practice, first be aware of it, acknowledge it, and then what can you do to show your team members this is what happened? It's all good. Let's call it out. Something that stood out to me too is we do a lot of meditation, and there has been times where I've stopped what we're doing and I'm like, I know you're with the patient, just stop. I want everybody to come to the break room and we're going to do a 5 minute meditation. We're just going to do either just peace and quiet or we're going to reset the day. Let's just do something that will only take us 5 minutes to do where we can just reset. I don't know if you've ever had those days where it's just like one thing after another
Yes.
and something's happening and then the day just gets away. I've done that where I've literally radioed or sent out a message. It's like, I know everybody is with a patient right now or has something going on. This cloud is ruining our day. And I feel like I understand we do have our patients. I understand that we do have a business to run, but at what cost? At what
Yep.
cost is it that we want our team members to be upset with each other? Taking 5 minutes to just reset and say, y'all, I see what's happening. I want us to release it. And when we leave the room, let's leave whatever happened this morning here. And then let's just go out there and have a good day. Sydney, how can I help support you? Christina, what has gone wrong in your day? What can I do to support you? Let them release that, and then let's go on and let's have a good day. And I saw that worked. Now, my hygienist would get frustrated
I'm
with
gonna have to
me.
try that.
When you first do it, they may get a little upset, like I'm with the patient or something like that. That was the only person, but just end it. Like, and then be vulnerable and tell your team members, your mental health is important to me. And I can see none of us is having a good day. I want to release it. So that could be a
I
good one.
I love that you said, yes, we have patience, we have that, but at what
Mhm.
cost? I think there's a lot of business owners and managers and dentists and just anybody in the leadership position that hasn't realized that if your staff isn't happy, it actually does more damage to your practice
Mhm.
than it does any good, because when people are unhappy or they hate coming into their job, they're going to be more likely to call out. They're not as happy with
Right.
those patients. Say you have Sue, who is in a horrible mood, and she's bringing back a new patient. This patient's never been to your office
Mhm.
before. And
Mhm.
it's just written all over her face that she's had a horrible day. And the assistant who comes in to help her is just snippety and not happy. That new patient's probably not going to come back. Like, it
Mhm.
does more damage to the practice when you can't work together as a team
Mhm.
and patients can see it, to where I like that
Yeah.
idea of a reset. I love
Yeah.
resets. I've done them for
Yeah.
myself, but I do agree the whole office needs to do it once in a while.
Yeah. And yeah, and you do. You just said it too earlier. You're in a small town. Your patients are gonna feel it. And so when I first did that, the doctor was like, whoa. But when I explained it to him, he goes, oh, well, that does make sense. And I repeat always our core values. We want patients who are going to show up for appointments, refer their family and friends. That's the type of patient we want. But if we're not giving them that service, we're not going to do that. We got to reset. And he's like, oh, that's a really good idea. One of the biggest things that I always like to end with, especially here, is work-life balance. And as a leader, sometimes it's 9 o'clock at night and we're getting phone calls. Or if your doctor is like mine, which yours is, where they are dreamers and
Yep.
you're getting a 3 a.m. text message. You just mentioned that you have a spouse, you're a mom, you lead 22 team members. How do you balance work life?
Honestly, I had to start putting up boundaries. And
Mm.
when someone first told me this, it was offsetting to me. I looked at it as a negative thing because I'm like, a boundary, no, like the girls aren't going to know, they're going to feel like I'm not there for them.
Mhm.
But I had to start putting up boundaries that, I mean, obviously emergencies still happen, but like when I'm off the clock, I'm off the clock. I work 4 days a week, and so does everybody in our office. And during that one day off, only message me if it's an emergency and has to be handled right now. If not, I'll be in
Yep.
the office tomorrow morning. But really just letting the girls know that when you have your days off, I don't bother you. But your day,
Mhm.
like we're in the dental field. It's busy, it's chaotic, especially our office. You
Yeah.
need that day to reset and to enjoy time with your family, because that's important.
Mhm.
And if I don't have that as well,
Mhm.
then I'm not going to come in and be the best version of myself. So just
Absolutely.
setting those boundaries, just letting the girls know that this is my day off. And sometimes they'll message me, and I will ask them, can this wait till tomorrow? I'm not
Mhm.
mean about it, but I do ask them. And they're like, oh, yeah, sorry. Yes, it can. And it's like kind of
Yeah.
like a reminder, because I get it too when I have questions. I'm like, hey, I want to ask right now. And I used to do that to doctor, where it'd be his day off and I'd be working. He'd be like, Christina, can this wait till tomorrow? So I just do that to those girls too, that this is my day off. I'm hanging out with my son or my spouse, or honestly, sometimes I've turned my phone off for a few hours,
Yep.
because there's doctor made a joke
Yep.
the other day that even if the building's burning down while he's on vacation, there's nothing he can do. So
Nothing.
Just realizing that you have to have that time with your family. Even if you don't have a kid and a spouse, say you have a dog or your siblings or somebody, you have to have
Mhm.
that time away, because if you're not the best version of yourself, you're not going to be a good leader. And being able to have that time away from the office, as much as we all love our office, having that time away from the office and being able to reset and do what you
Mhm.
love outside of work, you're going to be the
Yeah.
best version for yourself
Yeah.
and for the office.
Yeah, I love that you said that. We see and we talk to so many, you're in DSI and we have FOA coaching, and we talk to so many team members, so many leaders, and it really makes my heart cringe when I hear someone says, "Well, I'm working, 80 hours and things like that." And I'm just like, "Why? Why do you work that much?" Right? And
Yeah.
yes, like you mentioned, emergencies happen, things happen, but the building's on fire. There's nothing I can do. Call the fire department. They're the
Yeah.
ones that's gonna put it out, not me. I can't do
Yeah.
anything with it. But I find that some people don't even like taking time off of work. Oh, I can't go to my niece's ballet recital that somehow they planned at noon because I have to get back. And it's just like, if you want to spend that time with your family, spend that time with your family. Obviously, follow the protocol, take the right amount of time off, all that good
Yeah.
jazz, but spend that time with your family or just with yourself. Like take a day to yourself. Go to the spa, go get a pedicure. Do that, because if you don't, you'll find that you'll burn out from being a leader a whole lot faster. Your dental practice will be okay, and
Yeah.
those questions, if I can give anybody just a piece of advice, is when you get those questions from your team members, they're like, "Oh, I have this patient that's upset about a bill. What should I do about it?" Y'all know how I roll. Create a protocol. If someone's calling me
Yes.
about a balance and they don't know how to look at it, that means I need to train that person. It also means that maybe I need to create like a cheat sheet of, this is what I would do. And then, like you said, Christina, earlier, well, how would you handle this? And that way now they can start to think for themselves. I want to empower them to think for themselves and not have to rely on me, because I'm sipping mojitos and I may tell you something that may not be right.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. But that work-life balance is super important, and carving out that time for yourself is super huge. Everybody knows how I roll. At what cost? Am I going to
Yeah.
shed time off of my life, not be present for my kiddo, or not take care of my body just because I feel like I need to be at the office an hour before everybody? I'm going to stay an hour late after everybody. That means that you're not utilizing your team efficiently, and we probably should work on that.
Yes, I absolutely agree.
Yeah. Well, this was super fun. I'm so happy that you jumped on with me, took the time for your busy day.
Hey, I'm so happy that you invited me.
Well, I don't want it to be a whole year the next time we see each other,
Yeah.
but hopefully we get to see each other soon. And again, just thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate having you on. This has been another episode of Cytology 101. Today's episode was sponsored by FOA Coaching. If you would like to find out more about team training or personalized coaching, visit foacoaching.com. Also, make sure to follow us on Instagram at Cytology 101. Until next time, friends.